Hey everyone, welcome back for a special edition for this week's Bulldog Blast. We're going to be talking about the facts and facts, the facts of the 2023 operating referendum renewal, as well as the frequently asked questions as it relates to the 2023 operating referendum. Okay, so to give everybody a brief history lesson on the referendum and why it is up for a renewal coming this spring. In 2016, Mr. Ralph Walker was the current superintendent at Clinton Central School Corporation. Mr. Walker recommended to the school board at that time the need to pass an operating referendum for Clinton Central School Corporation in the amount of 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. The board elected to go forward with the operating referendum at that time. The operating referendum was passed at a rate of 64 to 36%, 64% being voting the numbers that voted yes for the referendum. The funds that have generated from the referendum range from anywhere from about $500,000 per year to about $615,000 per year, with the maximum amount that we can generate from the operating referendum at $675,000 per year. Those funds that we generate every year from the operating referendum have allowed us to either implement or maintain the following programs: elementary art, elementary swim, elementary PE. We've also been able to lower our classroom sizes at Clinton Central Elementary School to between 18 and 22 students per classroom. We've been able to hire and retain instructional assistants for small group remediation support, as well as have instructional assistants to provide support to our high ability students, that supplemental support that they may need. These funds have also allowed Clinton Central School Corporation to increase certified and non-certified staff pay. So we've been able to compete locally with some of the schools around us in how we pay our classified personnel as well as our certified teachers. Okay, so I get the question a lot of times, how are my taxes impacted by the 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation that is allocated directly for this operating referendum? So we're going to look over the past 7 years what you have paid based upon what your property may be valued at. So if you have $100,000 of assessed valuation home with exemptions, homestead and mortgage exemptions, you would have paid $49 per year over the last 7 years. With the renewal of this operating referendum that we're asking for, this is not an additional referendum to the 2016 referendum. When the referendum was passed in 2016, it was for 7 years. We are now asking for this referendum to continue from 2024 to 2032. So this is just to re-up that referendum from 2016. So your taxes will not increase based upon what they were over the last 7 years based upon your property's assessed valuation. So now if you jump down to a $200,000 assessed valuation home with exemptions, you would have paid $147 per year over the last 7 years. Again, you're not going to see that increase from 2024 to 2032. That will be the same rate that we would be looking at obtaining. If you go down to a $300,000 assessed valuation home or property with exemptions, you would have paid $244 per year over the last 7 years. And again, at $400,000 assessed valuation home with exemptions, you would have paid $342 per year over the last 7 years. Again, we are asking for the same rate with this referendum renewal. We're still asking for that 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation just to be able to continue and maintain the money that we have coming in to be able to maintain our academic programs. What you will see is this QR code. You can scan this QR code. That will take you to a link to the Clinton Central School Corporation website. We have a referendum tax calculator on the website. You can punch in your information for your home, and you will see that you're going to see a 0% tax increase based upon that. That's something that was provided to us by Stiefel, our bond advisory council within our, when we look at doing the operating referendum. So I encourage you, please click that link and go to our website to just check out what your taxes will do, if they're going to increase or not. And you'll see that they're not going to increase based upon this operating referendum renewal. Okay, so with the 2023 operating referendum renewal, again, this is not an additional referendum to the 2016 referendum. This is just to renew and re-up and continue what we asked for back in 2016. We're asking for the same amount. We will maintain the tax rate for the operating referendum at the same rate of 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. This means there will be no additional cost incurred by our tax-paying community. Why do we need to renew the operating referendum? So we are still the lowest paying district for teacher salaries in Clinton County. When we hire in a new teacher, we hire in at $40,000. Clinton Prairie, Frankfort, and Rossville all pay more than that for a new hire teacher. So we need this referendum money to be able to compete locally with what other schools are paying for their new teachers. And without the referendum, we unfortunately are unable to compete at that level. We want to maintain our student-teacher ratio. We want to be able to keep our classrooms right around 20 students. We don't want to have one teacher working with 30 students. It just does not create a conducive educational environment for our students. Overall, we want to continue to be able to maintain and provide the best educational environment and experience possible for our students going forward. Having that additional referendum money allows us to be able to offer those opportunities for our students. We also want to be able to maintain a full-time school resource officer for our student and staff safety. So those are just a few reasons why we need to renew the operating referendum. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about inflation and how it impacts the operating referendum. So if you look at buying power of 15 cents in 2016 versus buying power of 15 cents in 2023. In 2016, we asked for 15 cents per $100 assessed valuation for the operating referendum. With inflation over the last 7 years, in order to that amount to be equivalent, we would need to ask for 19 cents per $100 of assessed valuation to make up for that adjustment due to inflation. So thus we are actually, since we're asking for 15 cents still, we are actually asking the community for less money when you factor in inflation. So again, this slide is saying the same thing the previous slide said, just really in a different way. Our max levy for the operating referendum is $675,000. So you look at the buying power of $675,000 in 2016 versus the buying power of $675,000 in 2023. So if you look at the 2016, the corporation asking for $675,000 max levy from the operating referendum. With inflation over the last 7 years, we would need to ask for $834,717 of max levy to make up for that adjustment within inflation. Okay, so we're still only asking for the $675,000 of max levy as what we asked for in 2016. Okay, so the next two slides are really going to look at what we looked at in the previous two slides in regards to inflation, the buying power of 15 cents, just looking at from the opposite lens. So again, in 2016, we asked for 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. That 15 cents is now only worth 11 cents based upon inflationary numbers. Again, looking at that buying power of 675,000 from 2016 versus what it's worth in 2023. When you look at that max levy of 675,000, that max levy of 675,000 is really only worth $513,000 in 2023. So based upon today's dollars in 2023 compared to what they were in 2016, the corporation is actually requesting 24% less dollars due to inflation. I'd also like to fast forward to this operating referendum is set to renew from 2024 through 2032. So when you look at inflationary numbers, if we were to predict that out, that 513,000 would be much less come 2032 based upon inflation. So we want our community to understand that we're trying to be as financially responsible with our community's tax dollars without asking for more to be able to compete with inflation, but at the same time still be able to provide our students with the best educational experiences possible when they attend Clinton Central School Corporation. And we're very appreciative of our community's support over the last 7 years, and we're just asking for that support to be able to continue over the next 8 years. Okay, so I wanted to be able to show the comparisons between the 2016 ballot question versus what's going to be on the ballot this spring, or what currently is on the ballot for this spring. There's a lot of legal differences. The law changed for the criteria for what you have to have in the ballot in 2016 versus what has to be in the ballot for 2023. The main thing I want to point out in the 2023 ballot question is really within the last sentence or two. When you looked at it, it says the property tax increase requested in this referendum was originally approved by the voters in 2016 and originally increased the average property tax paid to the school corporation per year on a residence within the school corporation by 20% and originally increased the average property tax paid to the school corporation per year on a business property within the school corporation by 16.45%. Main thing to note there is that is not saying that your taxes are going to increase by 20% or by 16.45%. That is just noting what the original increases were back in 2016. Your taxes are not going to increase from 2023 to 2024 or from 2016 to 2024 based upon this operating referendum. We are just asking for that operating referendum 15 cents per $100 assessed valuation to continue on from 2024 until 2032. You're not going to see a 20% hike or on residence taxes, or you're not going to see a 16.45% increase on business property. We're just, again, asking for us to maintain that 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Okay, some details here in regards to voting locations. A big thing I want to point out is this is a city-only election for Frankfort, so there are no voting booths out in the county. So we do not have any voting stations in Michigan Town or Kirkland or any of the other townships or municipalities. You do have to go into the city of Frankfort in order to vote. So we are hopeful and optimistic that our patrons will go into the city to be able to vote during this election. You will see that first off, early voting is open. So you look Tuesday, April 4th through Friday, April 28th, you are able to vote at the Clinton County Clerk at the courthouse at 265 Courthouse Square. You see the times there. Monday through Friday, you can vote 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You also have some Saturdays open as well. So you look at Saturday, April 22nd, you can go in and vote from 8 to 3. Saturday, April 29th, you can go in and vote from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday, May 1st, you can also vote 8 a.m. to noon, all at the Clinton County Clerk's office at the courthouse. Saturday, April 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., you can go to the Edward Jones Community Center, which is out by the 4-H Fairgrounds at 1701 South Jackson. That's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on April 22nd. On Saturday, April 29th, you can also go to the Edward Jones Community Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. to vote there as well. Election day is May 2nd, 2023, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and we do have 3 centers that will be open for voting. So you have the Community Schools of Frankfort Education Administration Center building, which is over by Walmart, that 2400 East Wabash Street. That'll be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can go to the Adrian Marks Terminal at 3009 State Road 28 West, again from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then you can also go to the Edward Jones Community Center at 1701 South Jackson Street, again from the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So those are the voting stations and where they're at in the times. So I encourage you, please get out early and vote. Utilize the early voting times and locations that are available to you. And then note, on Election Day on May 2nd, you do have 3 different locations that are available for you to go vote. Please encourage your friends and community members and family members to get out and vote as well. Okay, so we spent up to this point in time really talking about the facts. The FACTS facts. Okay, now we're going to shift to the FAQs, the frequently asked questions as it relates to the 2023 operating referendum renewal. So one question I get asked a lot, is this an additional referendum to add to the 2016 referendum? Plain and simple, no. The 2016 operating referendum is expiring And this is just a renewal of that 2016 referendum to keep the rate the same and not increase the rate. Again, that rate is 15 cents per $100 of assessed valuation that we asked for in 2016. We are asking that that continue from 2024 to 2032. Next question that I get asked a lot: does this referendum have anything to do with the current building project? The answer is no. The current building project has nothing to do with the renewal of this operating referendum. The building project is due to the school corporation paying off bonds and reissuing those bonds in order to keep the buildings maintained and maintain the current debt service tax rate. These are two separate items. Operating referendum has nothing to do with our current building projects. Another question that I've been asked is, why can't you just use the bond proceeds from the building project to fund the money you would receive from the operating referendum? So, i.e., what people have asked me is, hey, can't we just use bond proceeds and just not have a continuation of the operating referendum? Legally, we cannot pull any money from our debt service fund for anything other than debt. So we cannot use the debt service fund to fund teachers. The debt service fund has to be paid on debt, and our debt is maintaining our facilities. That's the only debt that school corporations typically have. That's the only debt that we have here at Clinton Central. So we need to be able to maintain our buildings, and we utilize our debt service rate at 35 cents and maintain that debt service rate consistently by upgrading our buildings, upgrading our facilities without having to do a construction referendum. Another question: how much money do you receive from the operating referendum every year? Honestly, it fluctuates. It's truly based upon what the assessed valuation is. We can receive a maximum of $675,000 per year, no matter what the AV does. If that AV skyrockets, it's going to cap at $675,000 per year. However, we usually are between $500,000 and $615,000 per year. This past year, we received $611,000 of additional revenue strictly from the operating referendum. Another question I get asked: how much is your annual budget for the school corporation? Here at Clinton Central School Corporation, we have an annual budget of around $11,500,000. The operating referendum provides us with about 5% of the revenue for our annual budget. Okay, another question I get asked in regards to the referendum is, how has the operating referendum been beneficial to Clinton Central and the students, really since 2016? So really, when you look back from 2016-17 school year, we have been able to help our seniors earn a combined $2,547,492 worth of scholarships. This excludes this current school year. We do not have those numbers yet. So that's astonishing to be able to think that a school our size has been able to generate $2.5 million of scholarships for our students over 6 years. And I would anticipate that number to be closer to 3.5 million after this school year. We have been able to increase the percentage of our students that attend college, military, or post-secondary training to 73% back in 21-22 school year. So those numbers are from last spring. We have increased our high school graduation rate to 100% for the 21-22 school year. We've increased the number of students that graduate with an honors diploma to 46% during the 21-22 school year. We have been able to decrease the number of students that are in our elementary classrooms. So we've been able to maintain lower student to teacher ratios in our elementary classrooms. We've been able to increase the number of instructional assistants at the elementary school to provide small group instructional remediation for students that struggle, and also provide high ability programming for our students that are excelling. We've been able to maintain our elementary specials programs without interruption. So when you look at our elementary specials programs, such as library, STEM, swimming, PE, art, music, we've been able to keep those going directly because of the revenue that we receive from the operating referendum. So that's been a phenomenal support from the community that we've been able to keep those programs going, and we are asking for the community support so that we continue to do these great things for our students going forward. So what happens if the operating referendum is not renewed? Honestly, we would have to look at our budget. We would have to cut approximately $600,000 from our budget for the 23-24 school year. We would really immediately have to look at cutting items from our budget during the summer of 2023. We can't go to the Department of Local Government Finance and ask them to approve a budget to spend more money than we have revenue coming in. And so if you look at our budget of $11.5 million, our total budget, if we're not going to get $11.5 million of revenue, we're only going to get $10.9 million of revenue, I can't have a budget of $11.5 million. I've got to cut that budget down to $10.9 million, or as close as possible with the cash balance that we do have available for us. So thus, if the operating referendum is not renewed, we must cut items from our budget in order to reduce our budget to match the revenue that we have coming in. We really have to look at what programs and positions are required by the state or federal government, and then make cuts to staffing programs or other items in order to get our budget balance. We are hopeful that with the community support and value of our teachers, students, programs, that we will not have to do this, and we'll be able to continue to do the good and great things here at Clinton Central that we've been able to do over the last 7 years, and be able to continue that on over the next 8 years. And again, I want to state from all of our staff that we are extremely indebted to our community and extremely grateful to our community for the support that they provided us over the last 7 years. And we are just asking for that support to be able to continue going forward, to be able to do these good and great things that we do for our students. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoyed this presentation in regards to the 2023 operating referendum. I hope it was beneficial to be able to hear a couple of key takeaways, that we're not asking for an additional referendum. This referendum is strictly a replacement of or a renewal of the 2016 referendum. We are asking for the same thing that we asked for in 2016 to 2023 to be able to continue from 2024 until 2032. So we're hopeful that the community will value what we're asking for, and will support that. The other key takeaway is the construction that we're currently doing is not related to this referendum. Those are two separate items, and those are the two most common questions that I get as it relates to the operating referendum. I would encourage you that if you have any questions at all as it relates to the operating referendum or the building project or anything in general, please contact me. You'll see my email is there. I have both my cell phones listed as well. I encourage you to reach out at any point in time, email, call, text. I'm very quick to try to get back to community members as it relates to these items. And again, I encourage you to get out and vote either way. And the early voting is open now, and don't forget that the voting day, final voting day, is May 2nd from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if you have any questions, please reach out, and I appreciate your time and willingness to watch this presentation. And hey, as always, go Bulldogs.